Every once in a while, a new technology, an old problem, and a big idea turn into innovation. Good afternoon, galaxies of intellectuals, respected Professor Dr. Supriya Madan Ma'am, Dean VSIT, respected faculty members and students on behalf of the organizing team of today's session, Team IIC Internship. My name is Prachi Sharma and I will be your host for today's session. Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies is making an initiative to take the lead in identifying and scouting innovative ideas and innovative minds in collaboration with Institution Innovation Council, that is IIC of MHRD Innovation Cell and AICTE. The speaker for today's session is Dr. Ravinder Kaur Ma'am, Associate Professor of Department of Electronics at Deen Dayal Upadhyay College, University of Delhi. Ma'am has an extensive teaching experience for over 27 years. She has more than 30 paper publications in international and national journals to her credit. She holds a doctoral degree in electronics, a degree in Master of Science in Electronics. She is also a PhD guide, currently guiding a thesis in the area of photovoltaics. Dr. Kaur is a firm believer that a role as an academician is not confined to the four walls of a classroom. She is passionate about mentoring and coaching students to help them unearth their hidden talents and skill. She has recently completed several key certifications, including the Leaders of Learning course certification from EDX, Harvard University, University of Illinois, and University of Michigan. She is also the Innovation Ambassador of Institutions Innovation Council, Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell, to help promote and support entrepreneurship in students. Dr. Kaur has been instrumental in setting up and leading the robotics club in her college in collaboration with eYantra IIT Bombay. She has been a resource person in faculty development programs related to entrepreneurship, educational pedagogies, and leadership. An avid reader, passionate about learning new things, her hobbies include community service, reading, coaching or mentoring students, and studying human psychology. We are honored to have you with us today, ma'am. Today, ma'am will be enriching us with the 360 cycle of learning for a deep understanding on business model canvas. We are highly thankful to Dr. Supriya Madan ma'am and Professor Dr. Mamta Madan ma'am for providing us with the opportunity of conducting today's webinar. Well, today's session will be quite enriching and I'm feeling so excited. So I would like to request Dr. Ravinder Kaur ma'am for enlightening us with her knowledge. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prachi. I'm humbled by your kind words. And I would like to say I'm a facilitator. Yes, I love to interact with students. Mentoring them is my passion. And today is the opportunity which I've got courtesy Dr. Dheeraj Malhotra, the faculty member of your institute. And obviously, I'm very thankful to the entire organizing team, especially Professor Supriya and Professor Mamta, so that I'm here and I can exchange my views and ideas about business model canvas. Let me tell you, I'm not an expert, but yes, it's a mutual learning process. And today I would like to share my ideas on this. And I would request all of you to please be interactive and let's make it an actual enriching experience, not only for you, but also for me, so that we can discuss on certain issues, come forward with your inquisitions, whatever you feel, and we can have an open platform discussions. Thank you so much once again to the entire organizing team for giving me this opportunity, and special thanks, Prachi, for introducing me. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Ravinder, ma'am, for sparing your valuable time.
It's a pleasure. Pleasure is all mine. Can I share my screen?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there we go. Good evening to all the student participants, and a happy learning and happy interactive session on business model canvas. And here we go. So let's have a look at this picture. What do you see in this? You can write down your comments in the chat box. It's a very colorful picture showing so much of activity. What do you see?
It depends. You can type in chat box. Chat window is active for you all.
A group of innovators, Nakul says. Okay, it's an interactive environment. Okay, business, interactive, rocket. Okay, team. So these are the keywords which have come out. Transactions, very good, awesome. Any other keywords? So the keywords which we have got is various business operations working together towards a unanimous goal. Anchal, that's very right. Planning, SpaceX team, business planning. So what are all the keywords leading to? Let's have a look at the extreme right, a person sitting on a chair and probably thinking something, or with cash on his side and whatever he's thinking. And for what all keywords you have written, I think all of them put together, they are showing a setting of an entrepreneurial venture. We can see certain thinking part, ideation into prototype. You can see in the center different parts. You can see prototype being sketched out. Then you can see different parts. Then you can see what all is required in a space vehicle. People discussing about it. Probably they are having discussions about the financial implementation. And then finally the entire product is accomplished, and the person who is launching this product gets the money, and he's a happy man. So this is, if we really talk about what this picture is telling a story, is identifying a certain problem, right? Getting an idea, making your idea, for implementing your idea, having a proof of concept, starting with your experimentation, measuring your experiments, coming up with certain prototype, right? Then with that prototype, again, you experiment and you keep on improving it as you get the feedback. You have some finances which are supporting you. And this is all a teamwork. Each one has its own unique purpose they are performing. Finally, the product is complete and the product is available in the market. Does everyone agree to it? And all the keywords were given by you only. Does everyone agree? Broadly, this is what we can, if we have to weave a story out of this picture, a very colorful picture, this is what we can think about. So that means we can have an entrepreneurial venture right on a flat page. In a one slide, we can show the entire journey, simple by pictorial representation, and it becomes very easy and attractive to just think, and it gives us certain key points what is being done. So moving from here, let's come to a very important thing. Whenever any product or any process has to be launched by a person, what is more important, product or a customer? I would request all of you to please give your inputs in the chat box. What is more important? Product, what product you are making, how efficient it is, how cost effective it is, or the customer? Okay. So there are mixed response. Akshat says customer, Ayush says product, customer, product, both. Many of you have to give one answer, please. So I think most of you come up with the right thing, and that is customer. because what is most important is the customer. You design a product according to what a customer needs. You may have the best of the product, but if there is no need for that product in the market, that means there is no customer for that product, your product would be a failure. No doubt, both are, once you have seen what is required by the customer and you come out with the product, then product becomes very important. Is it good enough that it is solving the pain point of the customer? Whatever you wanted the customer to have a facility, is your product giving a facility? But to begin with, what is more important is the customer and the need of the customer. Anuj says, but without a product, we don't have a customer. Remember, it's always the customer. We had a pain point. Why was, like, if you start from human civilization and we go from step to step, how were discoveries and inventions made? Because there was a need for it, right? Since the need, whosoever needed is a customer. So because of that need, things came into existence. So remember, it's the need which is which gives way to an invention or a discovery or launching of new products and system. Yes, product would be based on what the customers want after all. So that is why we said customer is always the first, and what customer requires, we have to design the product accordingly. Now this is again reaffirmed by the statistical analysis. Many people are ambitious enough to start up with the startup businesses, which is a very good thing as time is progressing, and Government of India is taking many initiatives with Atmanirbhar Bharat. People are really encouraged to start up with a startup business, but the statistics tell us that a large number of startup business fail during the initial phases also only. And the main points, if we have a look at the statistics, the first point again is no market need, which again reaffirms that customer is the most important. Market need is decided by the customer. Again, got out-competed. So if your product got out-competed, again, it's a market. Your pricing or cost issues, again, a market. If your product is not user-friendly, who would decide that? The customer, right? You could not market your product properly. You could not market it to your customer. That means customer was not aware of your product, what all facilities that product can give. Again, here it again reaffirms customer is most important. And most importantly, if you ignore customers, there are many business and enterprises which have been successful, but at a point of time when the founders thought now they have made a brand type of a thing and they start ignoring customers, you would find it takes a fallback. So this is what the statistics show, that whenever we start with any venture, or even it's in a established venture, the customers and their needs are always prior. So let's come to the technical part. If I have to build a product, what do I do? It is commonly known as DLS. Have you heard of it? The acronym DLS. If anyone knows, can write in the chat box, please. It's a technique which is used for building a product. How strategically you go towards building a product. DLS. So DLS stands for design thinking. D is for design thinking. L is for lean startup, and S is for Scrum. Scrum is the technical word which means the same as agility. So this is how we start. Obviously, you can see the starting point. We have to observe the market, and be empathetic. Empathize. We have to be empathetic so that we can find out the pain points in the sections of society. What is required in the society? Are a section of people facing some problem which needs a solution, and we have to come up with a solution? So we empathize and we observe about the problems that exist. Once we define the problem, we come up with large number of ideas. This is what an innovator does, that empathizing, observing, empathizing, defining the problem. Defining, that means where do you want to come up with, whether you want to come up with a product or you want to come up with a process. You properly define your problem, then how to solve that problem. For that, you have a number of ideas. You keep on writing those ideas, or different models are there to choose among the best. That means you start with divergent ideas and then you finally converge to one idea which would give you the best solution to the problems. And how does that happen is you keep on trying your experiments on the ideas, and then you learn from your experiments, you build something, and it's an iterative process. And after certain iterations, you come to know whether that idea, the solution to that idea was worth it or not. So whether you have to preserve that solution, preserve that way of thinking, or you have to pivot, that means to change. And this is done continuously by a iterative technique of doing experiments and learning from this experiment. And this is also known as a lean startup. Why is it known as a lean startup? Any idea? Have you heard of this term, lean startup? Okay, we started with a flag, which was the starting point, empathizing, thinking, defining, ideation. Anchal says it's a part of the whole startup idea. Why do we call it as a lean startup? Why this particular prefix, lean? It's a method, right? What does it do? Okay, whenever you are an innovator, obviously you have limited funds. You can't just use up your funds in simply experimenting. So whenever we want to have a number of experiments and learn from experiments and keep on improving our prototype as an iterative process, we have to go in for a cost-effective technique, right? Maybe my prototype is made up of clay, maybe it is made up of cardboard, or maybe it is made up of thermocol. I don't go actually for a 3D models because I want a lean. Lean means weak. Weak now here is marginalized. That means I am talking in terms of cost effectiveness. I want a minimal viable product. Out here we talk of MVP, which is a minimum viable product, because by testing times and again through a cost-effective technique, we are trying to see the validity and viability of the solution which we have come up with an idea. Because it's in the process of accessing consumer interest. No, Jasmita, we call it as a lean startup, where we are, our basic aim is to come up with a solution and to see whether it is viable or not, whether the what angle you were taking to solve the problem, was it in right direction, and you were continuously performing experiments, checking them, getting the feedback from the customers, building your product. But you're doing it so many number of times, so you don't want your resources to really die down very fast. So you do it very cost effectively in a simple experiment technique. That is why it is known as lean startup. And then once you have a minimum viable product, you know that your product is viable, it is giving you the solution what you were looking for, then you go into a agility mode. Then you know, yes, the product was right. Then you go in for sprint. Sprint means without any break, just continuous. You are planning, you are executing how to make it available to the customers and things like that. So this is whenever you have to build a product, you design thinking is the most important part, which is just going for an idea, validating your idea. And when you validate your idea, what is that known as? Only at the idea stage, when you validate your idea, what is that known as? Obviously, confirmation, we are trying to confirm whether it gives a solution to know, but what is it known as? We are talking about a plan only. I just want to know the exact term. Have you heard of proof of concept? Have you heard of this term, proof of concept? So when
So all of you please try to respond in chat box.
yeah, Dheeraj, I'm getting the response. Thank you so much. Idea validation is the process of gathering evidence. Yeah, that idea validation, the term is known as proof of concept, because you are giving a concept how to solve a problem. So you come up with an idea, but whether that idea is in the right direction or not, how would you check that? You give that whenever you have to show it. Let's say you are a student and you come to your professor and you say, I have this idea. He would say, how do you know this idea would work? So the simplest thing is you would come with proof of concept. Jayant very rightly said. Then after you know you have a proof of concept, your idea is in the right direction, then you start using that, you start doing experiments and then checking, getting feedbacks, and then you go to a prototype model, prototype stage. Prototype is actually coming out with the cost effective or approximate version of what you are looking at as the solution or as a product which you're trying to launch. So remember, proof of concept is different from a prototype. Prototype is actually trying to build your solution, whereas proof of concept is just validating your idea whether it would go in the right direction to make your product or make a process. Let's again have a look at what exactly one means by a design thinking. So design thinking is divided from a human-centric approach, again going back to a customer approach, the problem zone and the solution. So how do you come to know what is the problem being faced by the people for which you would like to come up with a solution in such a manner that that problem is also solved, you add a value to the system, and you also have an economic development, not only for yourself, but for your country. So the problem zone comes, how do you actually find the problem is, again, observation, empathy, ideation, right? You observe, empathize, you come to know what the problem is, you come up with large number of ideas. So all these are a part of problem zone. Whereas solution zone would be, now you keep on whatever your ideas are, you keep on testing them, you make a prototype, from a prototype you go to a product development, then you take a feedback, you check it about what all facilities you wanted to give to the customer, are they able to, are they there in the product or not, and again everything is iterative. So simply by drawing this, sketching this, you know what you are focusing at and how you are getting a solution. So this is what one says as design thinking. So going a step ahead in design thinking, coming back to what we started with, the first is the desirability. Customer is the most important. So people, your customer, whether whatever you are thinking about a product or about you are trying to start with some different process, let's say online marketing, or let's say you are even giving a business model. Is it desirable for people? Do people really need it? So that's the first step. Now, whatever you are trying to come up with in the market, do you have the technological support to make it available? Whatever your plans were, right? Are they, can they be actually achieved by the technology available at that time? Because this would define your functional innovation, that what you thought was right, but could you do it with the technology which is available? And then finally, okay, you had the desirability and you could find that the solution is feasible, you can make it with the technological processes available, and you have the product. But then you have to go to, you must have a vision. Would it give you a business? Is it viable? Would it give you profits after 5? Let's say initially you're not thinking about profits for 2 years, but in the long run, everyone starts any venture for profits. So whether this model or this product or this process, would it give you a profit, and in the longer run, that is the business viability. And you can see the crossovers. So wherever you have a crossovers, you can actually see they really fit well into this. If you see the desirability and feasibility, the crossover is functional innovation, because this defines whether you have the interface to get your product. Is it ergonomically designed or not, whether you have the technology or not. So this is the crossover between desirability and feasibility. If I go between feasibility and viability, obviously it's a process. Am I getting, it would be making my productivity better, making the quality better so that I can reap on the profits. I can go in for the automation, so I have better profits at the later stage. And when I see the crossover between the viability and desirability, that means people wanted it and you are having a vast profit out of it. That means you are working on the emotional innovation. That means you already have a brand image. People always wanted Coke. You always wanted Nescafe. I only want to have an Amul Lassi, right? Without knowing any other product or without even bothering whether other products are available or not, I'll just go to the vendor and I would tell I need this brand. So they are working on the emotional innovation. And the sweetest point is when you have the experience innovation where you would find everything desirability to feasibility to viability. Obviously, that would be the best thing when you know what product you are launching, there's a market for it, you have the technological advancements enough which will suit your making of your product, and then your model is good enough to fetch you profits. I'll just take a short pause to know, am I able to connect the points for you people? Are you able to understand what I'm trying to say? As we have been saying, feedback is very important from time to time. So I giving you a lecture is also an entrepreneurial venture for me, because I'm not from a management background. I'm from an electronics background. But one fine day, I thought this is my passion and I want to share my knowledge. But how would I come to know whether I'm doing a job good enough? It would be a feedback from the audience, my customers. So don't take it otherwise, but out here, I'm the person who's giving you this facility and you are the customers. So I have to check from time to time whether I am able to deliver what I wanted to. So that is why feedback is very important from the customer, and a genuine feedback actually helps not only the customer, but the person who designed the product, who comes up with the product in the market. Does anyone know the story about Domino's pizzas when they were going through a very rough patch in US, and how did it come back? Just going off the shelf, being it's a very famous story which comes often. The story of success of Domino's after being really crashed out completely from the market in US. The people would say these are the worst pizzas we have ever had and we would not like to have it, and people came out very vocal about criticism of Domino's pizzas. And then there was a time when people thought Domino's would actually just be something like an extinct type of a thing, but it came back with a fury, much better manner, and it became a success. Does anyone know the story? किसी ने सुना है ऐसा कुछ?
Yes, anybody who knows may raise your hand. We can give you audio rights also.
Akshat says they changed the menus as well as customer service, if I'm not wrong. Yes, true, but do you know the exact story? Okay, I'll try to just
give him audio rights.
Akshat, do you want to speak? Or Nakul? Let's make it more interesting.
Yeah, I think it would be good if we can give them audio rights, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Coordinators, please give him.
It's okay, Akshat. Even I don't remember word to word, but I know the gist. So we can share it. Come on. Akshat, you can just narrate it. Okay.
Good evening, ma'am.
A very good evening, Akshat. Is it Akshat?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Welcome, Akshat. Let's see
Thank you.
What you have to say.
Well, see, the story I remember was more towards India when Domino's was facing a lot of controversy against well, the ingredients they use. Uh, so I don't remember the older one of which when Domino's was not doing well in America, but I would really like to hear it. So
Okay, okay, Akshay. I'll just tell you briefly about it. So there was a time, as I told you, that people came out with all fury and saying these are the worst pizzas we have ever had. And the Twitter was full of such feedbacks. And the CEO, rather than taking in a negative stride, took it in a very positive stride and said, people always had this opinion, probably this is the end of Domino's, the Domino's, the chain of pizzas, which had really been the main streamline, like now they are going to vanish. But the CEO at that time, he decided, let's take it as a challenge and make it as an opportunity. So what they did was they actually went into the feedbacks, right? So those of persons, those who had twittered or any using any social media, they had commented on the bad quality of pizzas. They were called personally, and they were asked. Chefs were made to sit there, and they were asked, "Why don't you like pizzas anymore?" So each one of them came up with their ideas that your veggies are sorted, not sorted properly, or whatever. So they gave all their ideas, and each chef would write down, jot down the points, whatever the feedback came with. And then they started changing how to knead the dough of the, how to make the dough, whether it should be a thin crust or should be fluffy, how should be the, what should be the arrangement of the veggies, the cheese, etc. Whatever feedback they had got from their critics, they actually did the same thing. And then those were invited again, and they said, and they still had this, no, it's not what we are really want. So they were not disheartened even by this. Again, the entire thing was taken as a feedback and iterative process. Changes were made. And then finally, when they inculcated everything, introduced whatever their feedback said, the main chefs, they went to the houses of each of those persons who had given a negative feedback with a freshly made pizzas, rang the doorbell, and when the person came out, they were shocked to see, wow, today we have that pizza, and the special chef himself had come to deliver that pizza. And it's so beautifully, you can see it in YouTube, like you would have goosebumps how they won this war. And this war was won, this battle was won by simply uh, having a feedback and taking care of those feedbacks. So at this point, what I'm just trying to tell you is, normally when we ask students to fill a feedback form, the normal is, okay, give 3, 4, 5 randomly, because we say it's okay, ho gaya na khatam. We need it only for certificate purpose. But remember, it is not only you, it's the entire system which gets better with this feedback. So never underestimate this process of feedback. And as we say, as a responsible citizen and as a responsible student, take really good care while you are filling up a feedback form. Let it be for any product, let it be for any, let's say, process or any facility which is given to you, even for this webinar, even for your lectures. If you're asked to give a feedback, be very particular about it. Don't take it कि normally persons are peeping, तूने कौन सा लिखा है, 3 लिखा है, 4 लिखा है, okay, I also write that. So don't go in for that. Give an honest feedback, because it will help all of us to become a better person. So that was out of the, I'm so sorry I took that time, but somehow it came into my mind. So now coming back to our lecture, when we talk about any new venture, and especially an entrepreneurial venture, how are they different? It's a pic which is taken from the internet only, thanks to internet. So on the left side, you say a person, a tea stall, a person who starts a tea stall is again a new venture. He's making tea and he earns money. That is his bread earning. And he has taken a risk because he doesn't know whether his tea stall would give him profits or not. Would it work or not? Fine. But can it be called an entrepreneurial venture? Can a simple tea stall be called as an entrepreneurial venture? Okay, everyone says no. Why? although it's written there only. So it is not giving any value. It is not adding any value to the already existing thing. The tea stalls are everywhere. Unless you do something different, it would not be called as a something new venture. Let's have a look at Starbucks. How many of you go to Starbucks just to hang around and just maybe to work also? How many of you are passionate about Starbucks? Okay, you never, please do go, although they're slightly overpriced, I would say, but they give you that, you know, they say stories are made here. Stories, we build friends. This is where people meet and they weave their stories, they weave their memories for a lifelong. So what is the main point of attraction of Starbucks is not the quality of coffee only. It's the atmosphere. It is the environment they are giving you. You can sit there for hours, chat with your friends. You can reunite with your friends. You make memories. So if you go to the tagline, they would say, we make memories. So what is the value they are adding? They are playing in the emotional cards. Come on, come here, you'll have a different experience. You will make memories for your lifetime. So whenever you start or you think of going for an entrepreneurial venture, either it has to solve a specific problem by creating a new product or improving some already existing product, which would add some value, or you are working on the emotions, just like Starbucks. It says, we give you memories. We give you a friendly atmosphere. We give you such a place that you would not forget you have been here with your friends, right? So this is how you go about thinking. It may or may not be about only a product or a system. It could also be about your emotions, which they are playing for. So just starting hurriedly about stages of entrepreneurship process. We have already discussed about design thinking, and it's almost the same. So we find out the pain points and we find out the right opportunity. Timing is very important in an entrepreneurial process. We validate our ideas using proof of concept. Then we develop a business plan and create a venture. Then we go for our sources for fundings. That means we start either for an angel investor or a venture capitalist. And we then implement, that means actualize the entire plan. We come up with a product. And then we keep on continuously improving, getting the feedback from the market, improving, getting up every time. So feedback or the market is important right from the beginning till end and remains important till the product is there in the market. You can't sit idly, right? So then you scale and grow your venture. These are the stages of entrepreneurship process. And now we come to, why do we need a business model? So what would business model be required for? What should be the features of a business model? It should tell you about the important things, again, starting from the customer segment. How is the market structure? What is the potential of the market? How would, if you're launching any product in that particular market, is there a scope for your product in that market? Are there competitors already there? Is the product of similar type already available in the market? What are the opportunities? What is the, do you have the rules and regulations are flexible for you to launch your product or not? How commercially your product would be attractive? What are the environmental challenges? And all these things are required when you are talking about the business model features. And when we especially come to a business model canvas, thanks to Alexander Osterwalder, who came up with this beautiful campus only using 9 blocks. You can just have your entire business model being displayed on a single page as a canvas. What you want to do, why you want to do, how would you do it? What is your product? Who are your customers? How is your product going to benefit your customers? And to implement that, what all is required? So that can be explained in a single canvas, which is very flexible, very convenient, very easy to understand. It's customer focused. You can easily communicate to your team members. If you have to go in for your you have to go in for your investor and to explain your business model, you can just do it showing your business model canvas rather than a bunch of papers. You can simply show it in a diagrammatic form, in a graphical form as blocks, 9 blocks, which would explain your vision, which would explain what is your motive and how you are trying to implement it. So that is the business model canvas. And it looks something like this. A simple, no blocks I haven't filled any blocks. We can only see now 9 blocks, right? And each of the block would tell me about my business model, and I can very easily explain my business model through this canvas. So any ideas what would be the first one in the business model canvas? We come back to our initial question. What do you think would be the first segment of the business model? Very true. So the first is customer segment. Whenever we decide to come up with any product or any process, I should know whom I'm making this product for. Whatever problem I'm trying to face, who are actually facing this problem? What is the type of customer segment I'm looking forward to it? Is the customer segment, you only have to write few pointers in this customer segment, like my customers would be, let's say, single mothers, or let's say babies, or let's say the clothing's only for baby boys, right? Suits only for professional ethnic wear. So I can just come up with a very focused group of population which I really want to serve and sell my product to. So customer segment is that those people whom you are trying to solve the problem for, or whom you are targeting to serve your product with. So that is your customer segment, which is the most important in a business model canvas. And then comes your business value proposition. आप क्या देना चाह रहे हो? हमने ये तो देख लिया कि किसको देना चाह रहे हैं हम, जो भी हम प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च करना चाह रहे हैं वो किन कस्टमर्स को देना चाहेंगे. क्या वो एक टाउन के होंगे, सिटी के होंगे, हाई क्लास के होंगे, सेक्स कौन सा होगा या यूनिसेक्स होगा, चिल्ड्रन होंगे या टीनेजर्स होंगे, या कोई भी एज के हो सकते हैं. So these are the customer segment, and you start from a very broad and then you narrow down according to what you really want to launch. Then value proposition, आप देना क्या चाह रहे हो customer segment को? Why should customer come to you? What is your value proposition which will attract your customer to you? There may be similar things available in the market. How would you attract the customers so that they start using your product or they start using your process? So value proposition is very important. Many a times they also interchange, making value proposition as first and customer segment as second, and vice versa. But I would go with this customer segment being the first, and the value propositions means what you are doing. Why should a customer come to you? What are the attractive features? What was the problem and how did you solve that problem? So value proposition talks about the problem and the solution you are giving to the customers, and that is why the customers would come to you. Now the third would be channel. You know the customer, you know what you have to give. Now a link between them. How do you provide your products to the customer? As the name suggests, is the channel. So how are you trying to link your value proposition and your customer segment is through channel. Are you going to deliver things personally? Is the customer going for a store, would buy a thing from the store, or is it going to be an online? If it's an online, you should know everything about the customer segment, what type of a laptop or what operating system they are using, what app would be required. Is it available in the store as well as also online? So what are the channels, how transportation would be required, how you would actually make the service or the product available to the customer, how fast would be the delivery, how how viable it would be, the product and your customer. That is all defined by your channel. And then again comes a very important thing, customer relationship. How do you actually make a customer? You knew the segment, you made the product for the segment, you also decided how that particular product should reach to a customer. Is it through a store? Is it through a distributorship? Is it through an online or through some app? But how do you actually tell the customer that now we are in the market, we are solving this problem, and our problem is solved. The problem you are facing is being solved for this particular segment. So how do you go and make customers and then retain the customers? So that is your customer relationships, which is made by how effective your product has been and how effective your channel has been. आपका product कितना अच्छा था, आपने कितने timely उसको भिजवाया, so that you can make a customers. Many a times you find when you launch a new customer, you have so many freebies along with it. Sometimes when you're launching a new product, तो आपका जो पुराना product है उसके साथ आपको एक छोटा सा sample दे दिया जाता है, so that they know कि okay, this new product has come. So you start, it's basically advertising. So this is how you make your customer relationship. आपकी after sales service कैसी रहेगी? आपने कोई भी electronic item दिया, how do you build a customer relationship is, if your after sales service is good, the moment you just make one phone call and they are available within 24 hours, you would say, yes, their customer service is very good, I would always go in for this thing. So this is how you make a customer and you maintain a relationship, so that every time customer would like to come back to you for your product. Obviously, you are defining what problem to be solved, how do you do it, how to launch a product. But ultimately, what one looks at is the profit margins. Is it profitable for me to come up with a product? And then we talk of, okay, this is this many $1 billion company, this is this $1 million company. So the most important is revenue model. How you are getting the revenue? What is the mode in which the revenue is defined? Either you are directly selling your product and it's a direct money or a credit which is coming into your account, or you are selling it as a subscription. There are certain Netflix, Amazon, so they are working on a subscription model. Is it a one-time fees, right? Or is it on a commission? Your revenue is coming out of a commission. Let's say Uber, let's say Ola. So their revenue model is based on the commission purse. So how you are generating your revenue is again a very important facet which should be clear in your business model canvas. So if you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, these blocks tell you what is to be done, right? How do you propose to do it? And how do you propose to earn the profit? You can see desirability, customer segment. You can see the viability, the revenue model, and the feasibility part is also somewhat there, but actually the feasibility part comes here. How do you implement it? This is what you want to give, how you are making it reach the customer, how you are attracting the customer, how you are generating the profit. But how do you implement everything comes now. So the next is your key resources. Depending upon the product, what all resources do you need? Do you need a manufacturing unit? Or do you need only humans to work and to make some software? What all is required, it comes under key resources. Whether you require it's only talking to people, it's giving counseling to people. So you have all sorts of business models, all sorts of processes which may be called as entrepreneurial venture. So what would be a key resources? It could be either if you're making a product, then you could either you're making or simply marketing it, whether you really want to manufacture it or you really want to be a person who would take it from the distributor, go to a retailer. So what all key resources are required comes in this. And then next comes the key activities. Depending upon your key resources, what all is to be done. If you have to go to a wholesaler, आपने क्या pick करना है? If you're actually starting from the manufacturing, how would you procure your raw material? What all things are required? Then how it is to be transported? Then once the product is made, Is it to be stamped with something? Do you require an IPR? So all these things come under key activities. Now, key partners. Obviously, when we have so much of thing and you require so many things, you have to distribute. Let's say I need a raw material, so I need someone who would give me a raw material. Then I want that raw material to be transported to a place where my manufacturing unit is. So I need a transportation unit. Then I need human resources. Let's say I need a labor class, I need some mechanical engineers. So I would go to some company who would provide me with human resources. So they all come under your key partners. And last but not the least, what cost you would be incurring to do everything. So cost structure again depends upon the type of product, type of process you are coming up with, whether your cost is only a cost of one room you have, or maybe you have your own property and you are only have to give electricity bill and the water bill and other essential commodities bills, or you have to give the wages of the employees or whatever. Again, that comes in the cost structure. So each of you, when you come as a part of MOE-IIC, you come up with a let's say an idea, and you already know your idea would work. This is how you can convince your professor, or you can convince the ministry, like, this is my business model canvas. Although when in terms of terminology goes, it goes for established business, and for entrepreneurial, with certain changes, we call it as a lean business canvas, but the concept remains the same. So on a single sheet of paper, even you, depending upon your experience, you can keep on changing things. Like, okay, customer segment, my product, maybe it would not, what I'm thinking, what my assumption, maybe it's wrong, I have to change. So it's very flexible, you keep on changing out here. So it just gives you a brighter look. Again, it's the same. First is your customer segment. So you can see different sects have been showed, whether they are homemakers or the office going. Value proposition is why should they come to you? Then how you are making the product reach the customers, how you are building the relations with the customer, what is the revenue model. Then again, key resources kya hai aapki, kya activities kar rahe ho, so on and so forth. So this teaser has shown ki agar hum ise, if we actually cut it in two pieces, one part would tell me all about what I want to do, what is my main focus, what is my objective, and to reach that objective, what is my line of doing things. And the left side would tell me how actually I do it. The doing part is in the left side. So hurriedly going just a little bit of just like a typical teacher revising what we did. So the first is your market or a customer segment. So you should know from a broad consumer, you go into a subgroups where you would have, you would find that, okay, these are the shared characteristics which are relevant. Then you go in, it could either be a customer or it could be a market. Let's say I'm talking of an automobile market, or let's say I'm talking of a market which only deals with pesticides, or let's say I'm talking of a market which only deals with vegetables. So whatever market, it could either be customer centric or a market centric. And we have to make our niche. Like, I have to see what really my product would be useful to whom should I cater. So we keep on just making them very narrow out, making them very sharp, focused, so that we know that this is the type of customers we want to cater to. Value proposition, again, as it's told, why should any customer come to you? Why would they buy your product? What main attraction is there for you? So it could be in terms of it's something new. It is a very high performance. The design is such, you can customize it. You would see nowadays you have designers and they sell certain things for lakhs and lakhs, whereas you would see something similar in few thousands. The only thing is they say we customize it according to your requirement. Brand also goes in the same thing. You say Louis Vuitton, LV, you talk about Gucci. The same products which you see any other thing, they're very very reasonable, but some people really want to go in for brand and they're ready to shell out money. So is your product cost effective, which is the main attraction? So these are the different value propositions. Again, channels, as I said, how do we make our product reach our customer? How conveniently our customer can get the product? How is our after sales support? How do we help the customers? And how do we actually acquire the customers and then make the customers consistently buy our products? So that is maintaining customer relationship is a very important thing. And again, you can maintain this customer relationship taking regular feedbacks from them. Revenue stream model, as I said, again, is it a direct sale, or is it a subscription, or a one-time fees, or a commission? I think I'm running short of time, so I'll just wind it up quickly. I can see Professor Mamta just looking at me. I'm probably taking long time.
No, it's okay, ma'am. You can continue. I mean, I'm not here to
I'm just about to wind it up.
Sure.
So when we talked about key resources, again, we said depending upon our product, what we require would depend upon that. Let's say for an example, it's an e-car manufacturer. What would it require? It would require batteries. Whereas a battery manufacturer would require raw materials like lithium, cobalt, manganese, copper, graphite, aluminium, etc., etc. Again, the key resources could either be physical, financial, intellectual, or simply a manpower. Now, with these key resources, what key activities are to be done? Again, depends. Let's say if you are a manufacturer of cars, or let's say bikes, then you have to go into a manufacturing unit and you have to take care of the entire supply chain. If you are simply developing some software, then you require how to get to the best solution, how can you make it best effective, giving the security to the user. Again, if you're talking of an e-commerce company, how can you maintain virtual marketplace? How would you maintain the logistics? That's very, very important. How would you connect with your vendors? How would you have your payment gateway? How would you handle the complaints? You see nowadays kids are really fond of ordering on Amazon, and every other day I see in my house, every other day a person is coming to take, there's a return, please, I have to take a return. So that's a return policy, and this is what they are cashing on, this all virtual platforms. So for an e-commerce, so these are the key activities. So key partnership, again, we require a networking of so many teams, the suppliers of inputs, funding, consulting, manpower, investors, they all would come under key partners. And cost structure, as I told again, it could be either depending upon the type of product, depending on the type of entrepreneurial venture you are into. Is it the cost of raw materials, the rent of your factory, or simply your office, the salary and wages, the transportation, your insurance, web hosting, advertisements, so on and so forth. These are the entire costs which would be incurred by you. And if you're able to roll it in your, you are able to make it profit such that your turnover is fast enough, is high enough that you are able to take care of all the costs which was incurred by you, and still you can make profits. So that is what you want. So hurriedly, we'll just have a look at this business canvas model. This is the beauty. You can see on a single slide, I can show the entire business model. So starting for an Uber, who is my customer segment? Who would be my customer segment for a for a Uber? Anyone? We all use Uber and Ola so almost every day. I think they have become an indispensable part of our lives. Passengers in need of a ride, very good, Akshat. Yes. One of the customer segment would be passengers. Anyone else? Obviously, people who don't have cars or they don't want to take cars. So basically what the answer is coming is passengers, and we tend to forget here the drivers. Drivers is also customer segment. We are giving them, Uber is giving them an employment, an opportunity to earn. So out here, customer segment is the passengers and the drivers. So it's people in need of a transportation and people who have a car, but they want to earn extra money by giving certain rides according to their convenience. So that is also a customer segment. Then the value proposition. Why, how have Uber and Ola, all these services worldwide have become so reliable and so important? Because actually they are giving you that reliability. It is very convenient. Only you have to download an app. At a click of a button, you can just book your cab anytime, 24/7, 365 days. You know which driver is coming. The details are given to you. You can share your the exact location with your friends, which again adds to the reliability. And it is also adding value proposition to the drivers, to the persons who own a car, that they can have an extra money. It's a source of money for them by using Uber. Now, the third is the channels. How do customers and how the value propositions are brought together? Simply an app, right? You download the app of an Uber or an Ola. So it's either a website or an app. And customer relationships is, how do you build customer relationships? How do you advertise it? Is either through apps, through ratings, through mouth publicity. If I've used it, I know it's very safe. I would tell my colleagues or tell my friends, no, Ola or Uber are very safe, so go in for this. So this is mouth of publicity. Again, ratings, which again depend upon the feedback from the customers. So this is how they generate their relationships with the customer, they develop their relationships with the customer. And how does Uber get the revenue? Is on the commission basis. How much? So it's around 25 to 30% per ride. The car owner has to give the whatever he has earned throughout the day out of the Uber rides, he has to give to the company. So it's based on the commission, right? Then this is what was to be done. And obviously key resources is, you require an app to be developed. So you require a tech platform. You require relationships. You require a networking of drivers who have a car of their own, or they may have a rental car and they would like to earn money through this driving. And you build a brand. So these are the key resources. Key activities, again, you are to develop a platform and the support services. Key partners is who would give you, like you have offices and you need certain cash support, your financial support. So those partners would be your key partners. The app providers would be your key partners. And the cost structure is obviously what cost was incurred in developing the platform of the app, in marketing, and in giving wages to their employees. That is your cost structure. So you can say we have very well mapped your value proposition with the customer profile. Let's have a look at here, that whatever customer wanted, they wanted a service variety, on-demand availability, and you can see on-demand cabs were there, efficient rides were there. Unlike our conventional cabs, which were black and yellow at one point of time, and we really had to go to a taxi station or look up for the numbers, and it was a cumbersome job. Now it's simply at a press of a button. Then you have what were the pain points was that you wanted a convenient ride, you wanted a low cost ride, you wanted a faster service availability, and you can see the gain, that it had lower prices than a taxi. It was available on demand. It would come in 5 or 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes or 15 minutes. So the waits are shorter for the rides. Again, the pains were key. The processing time was high. If you go in for a conventional taxi, you really had to wait for long. You were not sure whether it's going to be trustworthy or not. Would you have a security problem or not? But out here, they are cheaper, reliability. You can simply share your current location. At what point, at what time would you reach? What route would be taken? Everything is in front of you. So this is how you design your business canvas model, and everything is clear to you in terms of value proposition and customer profile, whether there's a market fit or not, whether it's able to provide you what you really want. So that is seen in a simple canvas. And here, everything comes to an end, although it's just the beginning of thinking in these terms. So I rest my voice here. And with a small message to all of you, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So let's hope You start thinking in these lines and come up with your business models to your teachers. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I would love to interact with the students.
Yes, in case if anybody has any query, you may please type in chat box.
Okay. How do we decide the price of a product? Like what factors go into it and to what extent? Yes, that's a very important question. Let's say if you're coming up with a new product, it's an entirely new product. Let's take an example of COVID, the pandemic, right? And people really were suffering. And then we never knew about masks, 3-ply masks. We never knew about oxygen cans, although they were used in hospitals or maybe persons who had a problem of asthma, but not to everyone. So when you know you are launching something which is of dire importance, you can really decide on the cost. But if you are coming up with a product which already has a competition, like already a product is existing, then you have to give it an offer that it's a value for money. So there are number of factors which come when you start deciding about the cost. And that comes with an experience. And remember, it's always an iterative thing. Many a times companies overcharge, but let's say one of you also wrote Starbucks that it's overpriced. Even I agree overpriced, but people still go in further because they find the ambience is so nice. I am ready to shell out more money. So how exactly, what product you are coming in, what feel you are giving to the customers, that becomes very important when you decide on the pricing of the product. Is it possible or feasible to remove any one of the steps in the business canvas model? You can't remove it, like everything is important. You make club and say, okay, rather than 9 blocks, I'm talking of 8 blocks, but each one of them has their own importance because this is how you go in. This is what we have been trying from the idea, from observing to idea, to proof of concept, to prototype, to launching the product, to making it available to the customer, to have a feedback, to publicize it. This is what was the cost incurred? How would you make a profit? Again, it's very important. It depends upon you. It's both the markets. Mass product, it's going to be there. Niche product, when you are, let's say, I'm only going for a brand. I know my market is, the number of people who would be taking it would be less. But I know I can play on my figures. They are ready to shell out money. We all see designers. Probably 10 years down the line, we didn't know about the designers, but now when we go, there's any occasion and we say, ek designer se to lena banta hai. So this is how things, now that's a niche market, going to a designer. So it depends. Okay, Nakul says, from Akshat, I did have a question, like in Domino's, it was quite diminished and destroyed in terms of customer loyalty as well as reduced footfall. What would be the tipping point of any company to use it? When you when you take customers for granted, when you are not ready to keep on coming with innovations within your products, you cannot say, okay, I had a feedback, I made a product, it was successful, and that's it. What happened with Ruh Afza? At one point of time, you would not listen, hear of anything except for Ruh Afza. It still is there, but it doesn't enjoy that monopoly. So you have to come up with changes, either in packaging or in the features, times change, our needs change, our requirements change. So you have to keep on updating your products according to the market. So where we started, customer, the market, that is most important. What makes customer attracted to less than 1% startups each year? What makes customer? Why not? Why not? When an entrepreneur comes, he has a different way of looking at things, and he promises to give you a solution in a different manner. And especially after Atmanirbhar Bharat, why not? That is what we are banking upon. That is the main reason why we have this IIC cells in professional and higher education institutes, because we want our students to be job creators and not the persons who would be thinking, okay, I have to give this exam, SSC ho jai, UPSC ho jai. No, we have to come up with, like, okay, why not to think? I have a technical thing. I have this skill, why not go in for starting something which would not only give me an economic independence, but also give it to so many others? Why not to be a job creator? Yes, there are many schemes for women entrepreneurs, but that's an entire, it would take 1 hour. So I can't take that in as a question. Maybe we can have a lecture on that some other time. And again, I'll reiterate one thing. Please fill your feedback form carefully. It's really important for me so that I can improve upon myself.
Ravinder ma'am, I like to add one thing, that
Yes,
we
sure.
have a Google Classroom for
Yeah.
all those interactions. So all those students who still like to, interact with ma'am, if you have more queries, you can always interact with ma'am through IIC WIPS classroom. Okay.
I would
So
love that.
yes, ma'am.
I
Because
love
it is
interacting with students.
yes, yes.
They
So
give me so much of passion to learn. Actually, I get passionate about learning from my students only.
So coordinators, please share the Google Classroom code with the students so that they can, connect with ma'am and other experts within the classroom itself. So I think we can now conclude. Prachi?
Dheeraj sir, have you shared the Google Classroom link in the chat window?
Yes, ma'am, I'm just sharing.
Okay, so then they'll be able to.
Yes, yes, yes. Google Classroom code I am sharing with you all.
And it was really nice meeting you, Mamta ma'am.
Sure, I'll be
Hope
saying.
to meet you physically also soon.
Sure, ma'am, sure. We'll definitely meet. We'll physically
Yeah.
call you in the campus also, ma'am.
That would be a privilege.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your words of wisdom with us.
Thank you, Prachi. Pleasure was all mine. Trust me.
I now request Professor Dr. Mamta Madan, ma'am, to kindly inspire the young enthusiastic minds. Please, ma'am.
Okay, very good evening to everyone. I am Professor Mamta, and on behalf of VSIT, first of all, I would like to thank our management, with whose blessings we are able to arrange these webinars. Our respected chairman, sir, always encourage and support us with all the resources to conduct these webinars. I would now like to thank Dr. Supriya Madan, under whose guidance we are able to manage these sessions. I would now like to thank Dr. Ravinder for the speaker of the day for conducting such a wonderful webinar, ma'am, on a very important topic of the times, which is business model canvas. She very diligently started up with DLS, which is design thinking, lean startup, and then Scrum and agility. The entire business model, I must say, ma'am, that you've explained it very well. And of course, the customer is the main component for any business. You have explained it very well, ma'am. And we all know AICT is encouraging students to have their own startups. So I think it's a need for an hour and hence an opportunity for all the students community to have their own startups. I would now like to thank Dr. Dheeraj for organizing such a wonderful session for our students. It was all his efforts. I hope students have gained some insight and it will be helpful for our innovative brains. Thanks to all the VSIT faculty members for sparing their valuable time. Thanks once again, everyone. Thank you, Ravinder ma'am, especially to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I would like to take this opportunity to thank once again to the entire organizing team and Dr. Dheeraj for his constant support in this. And I look forward to more of interactions with the students and the faculty members in future as well.
We
Thank
would
you
also
very
look for
much.
more interactions with you, ma'am. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much. It was a pleasure. God bless all. Have a blissful time.
Thank you, Ravinder ma'am, for such an interactive session. It was a beautiful.
I enjoyed it completely. I don't know about the students. Please do send me the feedbacks.
Yes,
It's
I
really
never
important
saw
for me.
students interacting beyond 5 because they normally like to, go, but the level of interaction and the kind of question they are asking, that means they are really enjoying a lot your session and they must have learned
You
a
made
lot.
my day.
Because otherwise it is always difficult for us to hold them for any sessions.
Yes, yes.
Thank
And
you so much.
make
You've really made my day and it's really encouraging.
Credit goes to you, ma'am.
Credit goes to the Almighty, but yes, thank you so much. Thank you. God bless all. It was really nice interacting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mamta ma'am, for your enlightening and inspiring words. Dear participants, it's my privilege to have been asked to propose the vote of thanks for this session. I would like to thank Dr. Ravinder Kaur ma'am for sparing her precious time and enlightening us with her valuable thoughts. On behalf of the organizing team of this webinar, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to Professor Dr. Supriya Madan ma'am, Dean VSIT, Professor Dr. Mamta Madan ma'am, IIC convener, for providing the opportunity to organize enriching and motivational webinars. I would like to take this opportunity to record a hearty thanks to Dr. Dheeraj Malhotra sir and all the members of the organizing team for the excellent logistic support and guidance they have extended to all of us. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a very motivated and dedicated team of student coordinators who are result oriented. It isn't easy to thank everyone enough for their involvement and their willingness to complete tasks beyond their comfort zones. Last but not the least, I would like to thank our young intellect for the patient hearing. It has been a great pleasure. Thank you very much. I would now like to request all the participants to please turn on their video cameras for a quick group photograph session. We'll have a quick photograph session now. Please switch on your video cameras.
Students are
Awesome job
requested
done by
to
you, Prachi. Very nice MC. You really
Thank you so
composed.
much, ma'am. Thank you,
students are
ma'am.
requested to please switch on because we need to put these photographs on the AICT portal. So please, you're requested to do the needful.
All students and faculty members are requested to kindly switch on their cameras. Coordinators take screenshots. Please switch on the gallery view and then take screenshots.
Yes, sir, it is.
Prachi, Jasmita, have you taken?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Done.
yes, sir, done.
You may all proceed and fill out the feedback form through the link provided to you in the chat box. You're also required to upload a photograph of yours while attending the session within the feedback form. It's essential for records purposes. Thank you everyone for being a part of the webinar.
Just a second, beta. I think few people were not able to start their video. I'm please changing the setting. We will have one more photograph. Kindly switch on once again.
Because
Yes.
there are certain faculty members were mentioned, right, that
Yes,
they
yes,
don't
yes.
have the rights. Yeah.
Yes, I have given the rights. Kindly switch on your camera once again. I think not all are covered.
Switch on, students also.
Apologies for the inconvenience. Actually, it's required for security issues. Coordinators, please take once again.
Just let us know, Prachi, once it is done.
Yes, ma'am. Just
Yes, different pages you can cover, Prachi, because not in one screen it's coming. Na? I think 6 screens are coming.
yes, sir.
So you can cover all the screens by, switching on the gallery view. All coordinators take.
Can I take a leave? I have a meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank
Have
you
a
so much.
wonderful evening.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
All participants, please fill the feedback form. It's essential your certificate would be mailed on the mail ID which you mention in the feedback form. Kindly take a screenshot or a selfie while attending the session and upload it within the feedback form. Please resend feedback link. Coordinator once again post it in the chat box.
I think the photograph part is done, Dheeraj sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's done.
Right, right, right.
Thanks to all students and faculty participants for your patient hearing. You can always join in our Google Classroom for future support regarding your, startup and entrepreneurship endeavors. Yes, somebody has raised hand. Radhika Khattar, you like to ask something? Please raise your hand.